With the first pick in the 2023 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Aliyah Boston, University of South Carolina.
As expected, Aliyah Boston, the #1 overall pick.
How a girl from a tiny island in the Caribbean became one of the most decorated basketball players of her generation, and why Forbes just named her one of the most influential young people in sports. December 2nd, 2025 brought Aliyah Boston into the Forbes 30 Under 30 class of 2026 in the sports category. The Indiana Fever star, only 23 years old, found herself alongside tennis champion Coco Gauff, 23 NBA sensation Victor Wembanyama, and NFL MVP Josh Allen. What makes Boston's path stand out isn't simply the trophies and the records she's collected on the basketball court. The journey itself tells the better story, one that started on an island where nobody knew her name and demanded a sacrifice most 12-year-olds could never fathom making. December 11th, 2001 marked the arrival of Aliyah Boston in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. Her father, Algernon, who goes by Al, came from Dominica, and her mother, Cleone, grew up as a native Virgin Islander. Together, they raised Aliyah and her older sister, Alexis, in a place where opportunities for aspiring basketball players barely existed. St. Thomas had no girls' basketball leagues, which meant young Aliyah spent her early years competing against boys. That experience forged the physicality that would later make her nearly impossible to guard at any level of the game.
So, lads, this is not a great look for the Indiana Fever organization. If you've got Caitlin Clark, the star of the Indiana Fever, she's going and seeing whatever about not seeing the Indiana Fever's doctors. Like, it is what it is with that. It is what it is. Like, I think a lot of players and teams get second opinions, but if you haven't seen here, Stephanie White says there's no update on Caitlin Clark or potential timeline. She met with another doctor, but White says she hasn't spoken with the trainer.
Her father constructed a makeshift court in their backyard, and the family called it Boston Arena, while her first basketball came from a local Kmart on the island. Everything about those beginnings felt humble and homemade, and that backyard court became the place where a future national champion first fell in love with basketball. Aliyah described those early days this way: "That's where I started off from, on the island where nobody knew me. Even though it's a small island, there's so much talent there." And this is where the story shifts in a way that any parent or grandparent watching will feel deep in their chest. 12 years old. That's how young Aliyah and her sister Alexis were when they decided to leave their parents and the island behind, moving to New England to live with their aunt Janaire Hodge and cousin Kira Punter. The reason came down to simple math. No path to high-level basketball development existed in St. Thomas. Chasing that dream meant going where the competition lived. Years passed with Aliyah seeing her parents only a handful of times annually, usually at AAU games scattered across the country. Picture that for a moment. A 12-year-old girl living thousands of miles from home, reuniting with her mom and dad only at basketball tournaments. The sacrifice paid off in ways nobody could have predicted. Worcester Academy in Massachusetts became her proving ground, where she captured the Gatorade Massachusetts Player of the Year award 3 consecutive years.
News: Caitlin Clark. Following a July 15th injury to her right groin, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark underwent further medical evaluations earlier this week. The team can confirm that no additional injuries or damage were discovered through the evaluations. Clark will continue working with the Fever medical team on her recovery and rehabilitation, with the priority on her long-term health and well-being. There is no timetable available for Clark's return, and no additional details will be provided at this time. Any further updates will be shared as they become available.
By graduation, recruiters ranked her the #3 prospect in the entire nation. The year 2019 brought Aliyah Boston to the University of South Carolina and legendary coach Dawn Staley. And what unfolded over the next 4 years belongs in the history books. Every single game of her college career, all 138 of them, saw Boston in the starting lineup, which set a program record for consecutive starts. The team's record during those 4 seasons landed at 129 wins against just 9 losses. Individual honors piled up almost too fast to track. The 2022 Naismith College Player of the Year, AP Player of the Year, John R. Wooden Award, and Wade Trophy all went to Boston. The SEC named her Player of the Year twice, and here's one that still stands in the record books: 4 consecutive SEC Defensive Player of the Year awards, an SEC record. Her career totals at South Carolina read like this: 1,942 points, 1,493 rebounds, and 330 blocked shots. Those 1,493 rebounds and 82 career double-doubles both rank first in program history, and the 82 double-doubles place her 8th in NCAA history. April 3, 2022 delivered the crowning achievement when South Carolina captured the NCAA National Championship, with Boston earning Final Four Most Outstanding Player honors.
The people were speculating that Caitlin Clark injury could be much worse than expected. You know, these type of injuries and the way she's been getting these injuries is not normal to have these strains back to back to back like this. And I said this before, Caitlin Clark's mobility is off, bro. I believe she might have came back too fast from the first. We all know the first one went down around the 25th of May. Then she came back and got re-injured around the 4th of July to the 5th, somewhere up in there of July. And then that brings us until now.
Dawn Staley, who has coached some of the finest players women's basketball has ever seen, put it bluntly, it takes 4 people to guard Boston. No one in the country has to guard that. Because of her, everyone on our team got better. She's still the best player in the country. April 10, 2023 changed everything when Aliyah Boston became the first player drafted #1 overall in Indiana Fever franchise history. Her rookie campaign turned heads immediately, with averages of 14.5 points and 8.4 rebounds per game alongside a 57.8% shooting mark from the field. That shooting percentage set a WNBA record for rookies. Every single voter chose her for Rookie of the Year, making the selection unanimous. The 2024 season brought the Fever back to the playoffs for the first time since 2016, with Boston joined by fellow #1 pick Caitlin Clark to form one of the most exciting partnerships in the league. But 2025 truly cemented Boston's status among the elite. An injury-depleted roster forced her to carry extra weight, and she responded by appearing in all 44 regular season games. The numbers tell the story. 15 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game. Her 361 total rebounds broke the Fever's single-season record for the 3rd straight year, and voters rewarded her with all WNBA second-team and all defensive second-team selections, both firsts in her career. 3 consecutive All-Star teams now include her name, with the 2025 selection coming as a starter. Dawn Staley, still keeping close watch on her former player, offered this assessment recently. She's on the All-WNBA second team, and I think she's on her way to being MVP because she works extremely hard on her craft. What separates Aliyah Boston from many talented athletes, and what likely caught Forbes' attention, extends far beyond the basketball court. A business empire is taking shape while she plays. July 2025 marked the launch of her podcast, Post Moves, alongside WNBA legend Candace Parker, with new episodes dropping every Wednesday. Boston Legacy FC, an NWSL expansion soccer franchise debuting in 2026, counts her among its investors. Adidas signed her to a multi-year endorsement deal and plastered her image on a Times Square billboard, while American Express, Dick's Sporting Goods, Buick, and numerous other major brands have partnered with her. Her family even established their own sports management company called Parrish Resource Management, a name drawn from Hebrew that means growth, flourishing, and fulfillment of God's promises. The most impressive work, though, centers on the place she came from. The Aliyah Boston Foundation launched in 2024 with a mission to empower youth through sports, education, and community engagement, paying special attention to the U.S. Virgin Islands and underserved communities. November 2025 brought the Foundation's Pathway to Purpose Youth Finance Summit to St. Thomas, where 87 students gathered and left with investment accounts opened and first ETF purchases funded by the Foundation. Her mother, Cleone, runs the Miracle Babies Support Foundation, which has contributed over $170,000 to Schneider Regional Medical Center in St. Thomas. The girl who left the island at 12 years old carries that island with her everywhere. And that brings us back to December 2nd, 2025. Forbes announcing its 30 under 30 class of 2026 didn't just highlight Boston's 3 All-Star selections or her rebounding records. The publication specifically pointed to her podcast with Candace Parker, her investment in Boston Legacy FC, and what they described as her marketable brand off the court. Forbes recognized something basketball fans figured out a while ago. Aliyah Boston is constructing something larger than a playing career. The Indiana Fever posted their congratulations officially. 30 under 30. Congrats to Aliyah Boston on being named to the 2026 Forbes 30 under 30 for sports. Fans flooded in with praise, including one who wrote, "Well deserved. That's 2 30 under 30 alums in 2 years. It blows me away how many incredible role models play for this team." Boston joined her teammate Caitlin Clark, who earned the honor the previous year, along with fellow WNBA stars Paige Buakers and Nafisa Collier on this year's sports list. 23 years old, and the resume already includes a national championship, recognition as the best player in college basketball, 3 WNBA All-Star selections, growing businesses, deep community work, and representation of her home in the U.S. Virgin Islands on the biggest stages sports can offer. USA Basketball selected her for the December 2025 training camp roster, with the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics squarely in her sights. Growth continues to define her trajectory. Dawn Staley captured it well. She gets better every single year, and I really don't think she gets credit for her growth. Forbes saw what that growth looks like when measured not just in points and rebounds, but in influence, leadership, and lasting impact. Boston Arena in a St. Thomas backyard led to Forbes 30 Under 30. A Kmart basketball became Times Square billboards. A 12-year-old who left home to chase a dream grew into a 23-year-old opening investment accounts for island kids so they can chase theirs. That's Aliyah Boston. And at 23, the real work is only beginning. If you enjoyed learning about Aliyah Boston's journey, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think the future holds for this young star. Thanks for watching.